When you guys are choosing a character for Dungeons and Dragons, do you have a theme song for that character, and how do you choose it? I straight up have theme songs for all of my characters.
I try and avoid doing that type of thing because I get songs stuck in my head constantly, and my brain will associate certain places with certain songs. For example, every time I'm in the shower, my brain immediately wants me to sing Kickapoo from the Tenacious D movie, like every single time.
Why?
Because
why
now,
specifically that?
Because I probably did it one time. Now it's habitual.
Okay,
right?
Pavloved yourself.
And
were you in a shower and accidentally let one slide and then you kicked a poo?
Every time I see a noticeable thing with the sun, like a sunrise or a sunset or something, I start singing Circle of Life in my head. Like I can't. It's just there now, so I can't do that because I can't lock myself into another habit.
It's a Mimic, the round table Dungeons & Dragons discussion, where you never know what you're going to get.
Merry Christmas and welcome to another episode in our conversation on classes. I am Terry and with me today are Dan and Kyle, and this episode is called Bards. Indications and Intimations of Indication and Inflammation of Inspiration, Invocations and Instigation iterations.
You got it wrong. Do it again.
I'm not going to get this right.
You got to.
I want it.
You
so
have
hard.
to.
Which word did I get wrong?
Incitation. Indications and intimations of
I wanted to
incitation.
get it right first time because I knew what I knew what I was
Hooray
doing
for
this.
alliteration.
Okay. Merry Christmas and welcome to another episode in our conversation on classes. I am Terry, and with me today are Dan and Kyle, and this episode is called Bards, Indications and Intimations of Incitation and Inflammation of Inspiration, Invocations and Instigation iterations.
Wow.
Whew.
Only
I'm
the
impressed.
second time. Okay, we've
That
previously...
we're willing to admit.
We've previously covered the colleges of Lore, Valor, and Whispers in our first Bards episode, which we started off with a breakdown of the regular class features and level progression. In our second Bards episode, we went over the colleges of Eloquence, Glamour, and Swords, as well as the sections in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, which encouraged players to consider the defining work of their character, as well as their instrument, embarrassment, and muse. You can find these episodes as well as our other class episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and dozens of other podcast apps, or you can jump over to YouTube and dig into the entire playlist on classes that we've built there. This episode of the It's a Mimic podcast looks at the pages of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything and Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft to see what new bardic colleges there are for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It's not all slinging, lute, and sexy dragons though, as the panel of Dungeon Masters sifts through the optional class features in Tasha's and the additional bard spells that you might not know about. But as much as I love bards and what they have to offer, I want to ask you, Dan and Kyle, before we get started, what's your secret bard-like talent that our listeners might not know about? Should we roll?
Sure.
We got to do that more often. Dan perfectly blocked that die.
blocked
They'll never know. Yeah, you did. I got 4.
I got 18.
1.
Okay.
What are my
Dan.
special
Bard-like talent.
bard-like
Other than
talents?
Slap a de bass, mom.
Well, I mean, I've said I'm a musician. It has gone back in podcast history and is fairly cemented lore that I build furniture. Which, thank you for that, Terry. The emails still come. As do my clients. Oh, wink. I'm good at creating things. I'm good at that. I love telling stories. If I didn't, why am I putting on a Dungeons & Dragons podcast?
Sure.
So I've always been a great storyteller, or rather, I've always just enjoyed the act of storytelling. Greatness is subjective. But
A true artist.
the one thing I think a lot of people on the podcast don't know about is I can also draw. I have
You're so artistic.
I
You
have
a lot of
some
talent.
skill as an artist, especially with pencils, like specifically pencil. I can't paint worth shit. You give me a marker and I will ruin a coloring book page. But you give me like colored pencils and different gradient levels of graphite, and I'll go to town.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so artistic. I've seen a lot of your talents. I am not. I'm barely skating through life on charisma alone, if I'm honest with you.
Are you?
I can't do things with my hands very well. I can't sing very well. I can imitate things with my voice quite well sometimes. But my main bardic skill, and I guess you guys don't see that too often with when we hang out, is I'm very good at improv. if I have to put my game face on, it's come up so many times in my career. If it's, hey, game face on, somebody dropped out, you got to go on stage and talk in front of these 5,000 people. A couple of years ago, there was like, like the breast run for cancer or whatever they were always doing in Vancouver. And there's like 5,000, 10,000 people or something there. I had to go up with 30 seconds notice and address all of these people on this thing for our company, which I didn't know was going to be happening. It didn't go the way we thought it was going to happen. I've had to do it in front of a high school so many times. So I'm very good at just game face on, let's go. I'll talk in front of 1,000 people if I need to.
You have just described a fear of mine, like straight up nightmare terror.
No,
like
I'm
stepping
not.
in front of 5,000 people without any sort of prep work. I'm
not like
no,
that.
thank you.
I mean, sometimes I'll trip over my words and things when we do this because I'm just in the moment. But if it's me collecting myself and talking, like my dream is literally to do like a TED Talk or something.
Oh, yeah.
And my like,
You want to be a motivational speaker?
and not like that because I've started to lose faith in those things because I just don't believe a lot of it now. Anyway, we don't need to go down that road. But something not necessarily inspirational, but educational for sure on whatever topic that I'm talking about. But my like secret like sexy perverted job that I would love to do something like a White House press secretary. Oh
Really?
Come at me.
Yeah.
I'll fucking make you cry.
Were you on debate club?
No, I went to a school in Northern England where we didn't have things like that.
Yeah.
That's the fastest way to get beaten up in Middlesbrough, England, let me tell you that.
Okay.
Well, I do want to point out, I mean, we've said this on the podcast before, you are probably one of the most encouraging people in our like little It's a Mimic admin
I
chat
don't
that
suffer
we have.
bullshit either, though.
No,
if I
especially
don't
when
believe things, I won't go with it.
Yeah, but especially you don't suffer the bullshit people sling at themselves either, right?
no.
Like we had one guy say, "Oh, I'm shit at this," and you're like, "No, you're not. Just try harder. You can do it. I believe in you. You're awesome. You're amazing."
Not, what I try and like tell people, what I did in like my previous career was that you're not like, it was obviously like fitness related, but you're not the anomaly that exercise and nutrition won't work for. Like it's just you have to do it. Or if you're not good at something, it's just that you just need to practice it. Like so but I don't like things that are fake inspiration. So there's a lot of things with mental health right now on the internet where it's like words of encouragement that go up and it's constant memes and like nice backgrounds and remember this and normalize this and just all that to me is people saying, remember you are sad. That's all it is. It doesn't help. Otherwise, we still wouldn't be talking about it all the time. Yeah. So, like, I don't suffer that bullshit. I think there's better ways to fix problems.
Cool. Kyle?
Interesting. If I would have to say anything, this is going to sound really self-serving, but my sensual dance moves and my disarming smile.
It is quite disarming. And
Kyle's
also
very funny as well. That's a thing to put across.
Yes, yeah. I think everyone got that. I was going to say, like, both Terry and I have got lead feet, so I would assume that at least one of the three of us could dance.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't dance.
I love to dance. I'll be honest. I love it.
I got the bass player head bob. I got that down like.
I white guy dance so much, man. I wish I had rhythm.
Is it all arms and no shoulders?
It's no, I think it's too much shoulders, and that's making up for the lack of hips.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of this, and and it's audio medium. They don't know what I'm doing. Dancing badly is what I'm doing.
I mean, he's British.
I think we've all seen that person dancing, though. So I think we all know what you're going for. Yeah,
it's me and Dan.
Do you have like a style that you prefer? Like, are you good with like Latin style dancing?
I did take
swing?
tango for a little while.
Okay.
I did that, not swing. I don't know. I guess just free form dancing. I like going to like clubs. I like going to shows. I go to a lot of concerts. So
cool,
nice. So before we move into the new stuff, let's do a little refresher of the class features for bards. So we know for hit dice, they get 1d8. We know that they're proficient with light armor. They get simple weapons. They get hand crossbows, rapiers, short swords, long swords. We know that they're going to get 3 musical instruments of their choice, and that their dex and charisma are their saving throws, and that they get to choose 3 skills as well.
And it's any 3.
Any 3.
Which is
correct.
Immense, especially considering they also get 3 music instruments. And I want to be at the party where there's a bard who is frequently rolling his proficiencies on all 3 of those musical instruments.
Like a one-man band. So he's got like the drums.
At the same time.
Yeah.
So, bards are charisma-based spellcasters. One of the most famous abilities that they have, I guess, is their bardic inspiration, where they get to give out a d6 of inspiration die, which people can use, to help them with that. I think is it just ability checks or is it save throws as well? I forget.
It's saving throws and ability checks, and basically any you can do it on weapon attacks as well. Basically any roll of a d20 you can use bardic inspiration for.
Right.
It also scales up to eventually like a D12, and you get them back at a short rest. You get a whole pile of them. Like, they are like the key feature of a bard outside of spellcasting.
Yeah.
Second level is where you're going to see them get their Jack of all trades and their Song of Rest. But third level is one of the more important ones. That's when they choose their college, whether it's Valor or Swords or any of the other ones that we've covered so far. And that's also where they get their Expertise feature. I know, sometimes people say that one leads to them being a little bit overpowered, but it's certainly one that makes you get to add, what is it? You add to your proficiency, don't you? And I forget exactly. You double your proficiency, so essentially you kind of become really, really, well, you become an expert in a certain amount of skills. Fifth level, they'll get their Font of Inspiration. Sixth level is where they get Counter Charm. Magical Secrets at 10th level, and then they get their Superior Inspiration at 20th level as well.
Their Font of Inspiration gives them the ability to use the Bardic Inspiration as a short rest ability. Their Magical Secrets lets them tap into other schools of magic entirely to add to their bardic knowledge, which gives them access to spells like Fireball and Wish and like these great level Miracle eventually with it too, right? Like they get to be pretty awesome. And finally, you get Counter Charm, which if you are playing in a party full of fighters and rogues, I mean, come on, man. You're going to use that. You're going to use it often because that's the way you defeat a party full of fighters and rogues. With a Superior Inspiration at level 20, you will always have at least one Bardic Inspiration. So you could really tell that the entire class is based around
buffing.
Yeah.
Essentially, right? But they have some additional spells now, which are coming from other publications, apart from Xanathars and apart from the Player's Handbook. So we got a couple here from Acquisitions Incorporated, as well as coming out of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So I'll quickly go over them, but I won't go into too much detail here. Distort Value is a good one. So you cast this spell on an object, and essentially you get to either double its value or half its value by kind of putting like illusory little marks on it or cleaning it up and making it super polished.
Yeah.
So you can manipulate the value.
Fucking love that spell.
I love that one too. Gift of the Gab is one of my favorite ones. I'm going to go over the details of that one in particular at the end because Gift of the Gab just suits me just fine. Fast Friends from Acquisitions Incorporated. So while the creature is charmed, it allows you to charm a creature, and while it's charmed in that way, it undertakes to perform any service or activities you ask of it in a friendly manner to the best of its ability. So there is rules around that, of course. Like if it senses that it's going to die as a result, you can't do that. What a great way to play with an NPC. Intellect Fortress from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Not one for me, but some people like it. It grants the creature you cast on it resistance to psychic damage, as well as an advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. It's probably not the type of thing I would use, but it is useful.
Oh, it's a super powerful spell.
Yeah,
especially if you got that Bear Totem Barbarian in the party and you're like, hey, guess what? Now you are resistant
exactly,
to everything.
and that's perfect. But you know what? What I realized is I shy away from the buffing spells, and mine are more about the fucking up spells. I like the chaos of it all. I feel like when you buff people, it's often a thankless job. So Motivated Speech from Acquisitions Incorporated. So from the duration, each affected creature gains 5 temporary hit points and also gets advantage on wisdom saving throws. If an affected creature is hit by an attack, it has advantage on the next attack roll that it makes as well.
Cool.
Okay, Dream of the Blue Veil from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So you and 8 friends, it's a 10-minute casting time, can be transported to a safe place somewhere on the material plane.
Yeah. And that's other worlds, other planets, other things as well, right? Like anywhere on the material plane, full stop.
Do you get to choose, or is it like at random kind of
You
thing?
get to choose.
All right.
Yeah.
But the one that I said I wanted to go through in more detail was Gift of the Gap. This one's from Acquisitions Incorporated. This is a 2nd level enchantment, and it's done as a reaction. That's the casting time. And so, what happens? It's instantaneous. When you cast this spell, you skillfully reshape the memories of listeners in your immediate area so that each creature of your choice within 5 feet of you forgets everything that you said within the last 6 seconds. So 1 round. Those creatures then remember that you actually said those words you speak as the verbal component of the spell. So that basically means that if you say something incorrectly or it doesn't go to plan, you just get a do-over. You just do it again. And they'll just go along with it.
So that is spell-ified podcasting.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be great.
Yeah.
That sounds like it would have been really useful in the campaign I'm playing right now.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be really useful in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
This is the type of thing that I would use. Yes. And then all the guards pull their swords out and then you do it again. You go, no? And then they don't. It's exactly that. Okay, so let's get in some arguments then.
Okay,
Or debates, whatever we say.
let's
in
discuss.
Canada. So there's a couple of abilities here that I want to go over with you, and then we can have a conversation about it. So the first one is a second level bard feature known as Magical Inspiration. This is from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. If a creature has bardic inspiration die from you and casts a spell that restores hit points or deals damage, the creature can roll that die and choose a target affected by the spell. You add the number rolled as the bonus to the hit points regained or the damage dealt if it's damage dealing, and the bardic inspiration die is then lost. So the question I have for the both of you is, do you allow this at your table, or is the level, or is this level already powerful enough?
Let's roll. Got 16.
18 coming up on top. Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, I don't think it's a crazy powerful ability. I mean, I'd probably do the healing, but not the damage.
So I have problems with this because basically this makes College of Valor. All bards could do a little bit of College of Valor now, is what this lets you do, where you can now add your bardic inspiration to damage straight up. Okay. Now, what this also does is it lets you still use the bardic inspiration, for an ability and then add it to the damage. It's weird.
Oh.
It's super powerful. And friends, if you crit, this is a dice rolled on the attack.
Yeah.
You get to add that.
That's good.
And if you're up at like level 15 and you're rolling a d12, you're rolling a dice just as great as a great axe.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
There are issues with this. I don't really mind it, to be honest, just because bards are limited at early levels. So I'm glad they get this at level 2 and they could use it at level 2. But this just stays powerful as you continue through and your bardic inspiration changes. We mentioned how much bards are based around bardic inspiration. So I think this is a step too far. I would allow it at my table. Only because bards don't get a lot of bardic inspirations, right? It's not enough of a thing to limit it from the table, but if they're playing College of Eloquence with this, it might become broken.
Right. I would allow it at my table, even though I recognize the issues with it, because as soon as you start to change things from written text, it just causes you more issues later, because things will come up for other people. Now, people won't bring up these issues when they're happy. It's as soon as things go wrong that another player will say, well, you changed it for them, or you changed it for this, or now this means that my thing is not as good because of this, and it just ends up creating more issues later. So while there is a small issue here, it's easier for DM to work around that issue which is known right now than have to deal with other issues that are going to come up on the fly later on as a result of you making a special, given special treatment. So yeah, I definitely agree with the issues, but in the way I would combat it is I would work my campaign around that instead.
Yeah, just plan your encounters knowing that could be a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next one I want to talk about is bardic versatility. It's a 4th level bard feature. So whenever you reach the point in your class where you get an ability score improvement, you can also replace one of the skills from your expertise with another skill, or you can replace one cantrip you learned with another cantrip from the bard spell list. So I guess my question for this one is, do you think that bards really need this update?
Okay, so go ahead, Kyle.
So I would let them change their cantrips because I'm at a point right now in my campaign where I am stuck with a bunch of cantrips I'm not using, and there's no real other chance to change them. I just have to wait until I get another one. But I wouldn't let them change their expertise because, I don't know, when you're building your character, they spent their whole life basically gaining these skills, right? So it seems kind of crazy to be able to arbitrarily change them.
Right.
Right. I'm in the same boat. Like, change the cantrips around. Yeah. We've talked on, like, I think the clerics episode and various other things. The ability to, you being locked down to a cantrip for so long is kind of limiting. And I'm more than okay with giving parties a little bit more versatility. Not saying every long rest, but once every 4 levels, or even every level I typically do, you could change out a cantrip. I'm okay with that. Expertise, though, fuck that.
Yeah.
Right? I have a general rule where you could do tweaks with your character at my table until you're level 3, and I kind of just clear it with me first, but you could pretty much tweak anything up until level 3. That's just a home rule I play with. But after that, you're set in stone. You don't get to change what your expertise is because that changes your character in a certain way.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that home rule that you have there because that's a time when it might be a new party, new group of players. They're trying to feel each other out.
Exactly.
How's everybody going to be using their characters?
And if you play in heavy roleplay games like we do, you're feeling the character out.
Right.
Right? And if all of a sudden you're like, no, this guy's a dick. I don't want to play this one for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I even agree with what you said about the cantrips in comparison to the expertise. Cantrips, yeah. I feel like it makes sense that you would essentially forget or have a bit of skill fade on a cantrip. You can do that with the story where you just start using this one and so you forget this one. That's fine. But when it comes to an expertise, that's a skill that you've acquired in your life that will not be forgotten. You don't suddenly forget how to pick locks.
Exactly.
You've always done it.
Yeah.
So for the narrative, I just can't make it fit. So I agree with you, Dan, on that one.
Happy holidays and Merry Chrysler.
Yes, happy, merry,
Ho ho
ho
and stuff from the It's a Mimic podcast
group of people.
and the folks.
You guys are the fucking worst.
You're so good at this!
Will you please just do a regular commercial? This is not that. It's like 9 words.
That
That was not
I'm trying to do it in 9 words.
Merry Christmas from us. Stay safe. Don't be.
Stupid.
Was that 9?
That was
Not
9.
9.
Good enough.
Okay, so let's move on to the subclasses. I guess it's just the two of you doing subclasses tonight.
I guess so, yeah.
So it's only the both of you that have to roll initiative, and I don't do anything. So the both of you pick up your dice. You can roll initiative, and whoever goes first goes first.
See it. I got a natural 20.
Ooh, 11.
So
That means Dan goes twice.
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. So following in line with a natural 20, I'm going to go with the College of Creation Bard from Tasha's. This is a college of bards that really feel that all of creation is art. And because all of creation is art, they pull from that art to cast their spells and benefit their party and manipulate the world around them in their own special way. Okay? One of the little tidbits of information I really loved from this was there is a College of Creation poem that all bards of creation learn. And it is, before the sun and the moon there was the song, and its music awoke at the first dawn. Its melody so delighted the stones and trees that some of them gained a voice of their own. And now they sing, too. Learn the song, students, and you too can teach the mountains to sing and dance.
This is my least favorite way of communicating.
Okay? Well, here's a fun thing about this, Terry. There's a little further little nugget here where it says that Dragonborn. I mean, you get the long live, like the tinkery, the creative races. Of course, will go towards this. So your dwarves and your gnomes, but your Dragonborn who worship Bahamut and Tiamat, who are very foundational gods in the typical pantheon, also lean towards this heavily, which made my brain spin out of control with character creations all the way down, right? Like it just all of the different flavors of dragon added in this, and then you could throw in a little bit of the ordning and their hatred of giant. It just, I got carried away. Anyways, let's talk about what they can do. At 3rd level, when you get this college, you get a couple things. You get motive potential and performance of creation. Motive potential is your ability that's going to affect your bardic inspiration. Basically, whenever you cast a bardic inspiration on somebody, it carries with it a motive potential, which is often seen as like a little illusory musical note or a star or flower or other symbol that you choose that floats with them as a visible representation of your inspiration. I love this.
I knew you were going to say that.
Just this little illusory, like, means really nothing. It has no effect, but it's just adds so much flavor to this, right? You speak that word of creation, of creating an inspiration for that character, and it has a physical effect. Bardic inspiration is always so easy to forget.
Sounds like a virtue signal to me, but sure.
Sure. Okay. Well, when you have your bardic inspiration, depending on what you do with it, one of three things can occur. If you use your bardic inspiration to aid in an ability check, what this does is the mote of inspiration pops and emits colorful, harmless sparks for a moment, and gives you basically advantage with your bardic inspiration dice on that saving throw. So you can roll 2 of that dice and take the higher for that saving throw. Okay. The physical effect is the thing pops, emits this nice little chime sound, and the mechanical thing is, okay, well now I'm rolling 2d6 and taking the highest on this ability check. When it's an attack, it's something different. When you do an attack, basically the mote thunderously explodes instead of just a nice relaxing charm, and it causes each creature of your choice as the bard, not the creature attacking, to make a Constitution saving throw, it and every creature within 5 feet of it of your choice, or take thunder damage equal to the number rolled on the bardic inspiration dice.
Love it.
Okay?
I'm in.
Wait, so does that mean that the character that you gave inspiration to is also making this Constitution?
So here's how it plays out. I'm a bard. Kyle, you're a rogue. You are sneaking up on somebody. Okay. I inspire you, and you decide I'm a rogue. I'm great at sneaking. I'm just going to use it for the attack. You use it for the attack. There's this massive explosion. You're fighting 3 goblins. The 3 goblins are standing in a nice, neat little line because they're goblins, and I'm just letting you kill things. I then say the 3 goblins, not Kyle. And the 3 goblins roll Constitution saves and then take damage equal to the dice. Now remember, Bardic Inspiration gets up to D12. This is not a small amount of damage.
Right. Yeah.
Okay? Finally, if you use that Bardic Inspiration on a saving throw specifically, immediately after the creature rolls the inspiration die and adds it to the saving throw, the mote vanishes with a soft sound of music or whatever it is, causing the creature who used that bardic inspiration to gain temporary hit points equal to the number rolled on the inspiration die plus your charisma modifier, minimum of 1, and they're temporary hit points. So this just gave your bardic inspiration a healing effect. And by the way, this is all saving throws, which includes death saves.
Oh, there we go.
So if you are rolling a death save and your friend goes, "You can do it," you roll, add the bardic inspiration, you get a hit point. Minimum 1. Stand up. You're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, with the rules of temporary hit points, if you stand up and then you get knocked back down again because you're a Chumbawamba song, you can... the amount of death saves you have where your status is on death saves isn't changed. So if you're like 2 fails and 2 successes, and you fall back down again after getting that temporary hit point, you're still at 2 fails, 2 successes.
Oh.
So
you got to do a bit of traditional healing afterwards. But it gives you a chance to get up and run away.
You need to increase actual hit points to stop death saving throw progress.
Right.
Okay? Temporary hit points will not do that for you. Okay? That's one of their big things. Clearly, I spent a while on it. Let's move on to their performance of creation, which is where, as an action, you channel, and this is once per long rest, you can channel the Song of Creation to create 1 non-magical item of your choice, whatever you want, within 10 feet of you. It must appear on a surface or in a liquid that could support it. The gold value of that item cannot exceed more than 20 times your bard level. So at this level would be 60 gold, a 60 gold item that you can just create as an action once per long rest. And it can be no more than, it can only be medium or smaller sized. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Okay. This item glimmers, have
So you
some
can't make
sort
a
of
wagon then.
I mean,
Not
wait
yet.
for it. You can, when you create this item, it does hum, it glimmers, it has a small effect showing that it is something pulled straight from the source of creation itself. And if you need examples, but not your full entitled list, you could check the player's handbook for that. Now, you can't do this again until you do another long rest, or if you spend a 2nd level or higher spell slot to do it again.
And is there rules on complexity of the item? Like, is it a box or a clock? Do you know what I mean?
It is 1 non-magical item.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you can only have 1 item at a time and disappears a number of hours equal to your proficiency bonus.
Right.
Okay. So at level 3, that would be 2 hours.
Opportunity to get creative, though.
Yep. It really adds that versatility to it. Now, here's the fun bit. The size of the object changes at 6th and 14th level, where it could be a large or huge item. So, yes, Terry, you can create a wagon.
Well, now I want a boat.
you can do it.
At 14th level, what, 14 times 20 is 2,800?
Keep in mind, it only lasts as long as your proficiency bonus.
Yeah.
So be wary.
Yeah.
But
Right? Yeah. What?
don't get carried
I mean,
away.
if you make a tent, it's raining.
Yeah, right. Cool. So at 6th level, you get animating performance, which is where you could target a large or smaller object within 30 feet of you and animate it as an action. Now, this gives you a stat block for a dancing item, but basically gives you a summon that you can command around a table using the same summon rules as a summoning spell. Okay. It will only take the dodge action on its turn, which goes immediately after yours on the initiative, no matter what the initiative roll is. It has a full turn. It has a full character loadout itself, but you have to spend your bonus action to make it do something unique on your turn. Okay? That's the only way you can make it do anything other than the dodge
But on
action.
its turn, it can only do the dodge action.
Unless you spent your bonus action to tell it to do something.
Okay.
Okay? Now, its hit points and its... a lot of its stats are kind of based off of yours. So its hit points are 10 plus 5 times your bard level, which at this point is 6th. So 40 hit points. Okay. Yeah. It's got a whole slew of construct level immunities and resistances, and has some fun effects to it where it has an immutable form, which means it is immune to any spell or effect that would alter its form. You animate the candelabra to do a thing, and no one can be like, no, that's actually a French person trying to have sex with a broom. That's not the way. Or sorry, is it a duster? I think it's a duster.
Oh, it's like
Teapots?
It's a little duster.
It's a duster. Yeah, right.
Hot accent on it. Disney movies were part of my sexual awakening.
Yeah.
I think these characters.
We're not going to unpack that now.
Her name is literally beautiful.
So the other thing you can do is whenever a creature starts within 10 feet of that item, the item can increase or decrease the walking speed of that creature by 10 feet, your choice, until the end of your turn, providing it's not incapacitated. Okay? So what that means is, and by the way, that's not an action. That's just a trait of the item.
Right.
You could just drop this thing in the middle of a crowd of guys who are trying to run away, and they now all move 10 feet slower as long as they're within 10 feet of this thing. Your choice. The innate ability of this thing.
Oh, that's
your
creative.
party's running fast. You animate something that can be carried. Now your entire party can move 10 feet faster.
Now the monk's a bullet.
Now,
For a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, they already were.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Who's
Who's noticing at that point, right?
Yeah. Now, whenever you use your bardic inspiration feature, you can command the item at the same time as well. So if you're using your bonus to inspire somebody, you can use that same bonus action to tell your item to do something. So you're not doubling up on bonus actions.
It's a twofer.
Yeah. And here's the downside. You can only animate one a day, one per long rest. Unless you spend a 3rd level or higher spell slot, you get the ability to summon another one again. Or rather to animate another thing again. Okay? If you do this and the first one's still animated, it becomes an animate. You can only have one at a time. Okay? That's fucking badass. Now, if you're wondering what actions you can tell it to do, you get the whole slew of normal actions, but it does have an attack, which is a force-powered slam, which uses your spell attack modifier to hit, and does 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus force damage as damage. 1d10.
Yeah.
This thing hits.
Yeah.
Okay. Finally, at 14th level, you get the creative crescendo, which is when you could use your performance of creation, which is that creating a random item whenever you want feature. You now can create more than one item at once. The number of items equals your charisma modifier. And if you choose to create an item that would exceed that number, the oldest one disappears. Okay. Now, other caveat is you can only create one item at the maximum size. Everything else must be small or tiny, but you can do as many of them as you want up to your charisma modifier at a time. And you are no longer limited by gold value when creating this object.
Oh.
That in mind, let's hear what Tasha has to say about them. And it is that one bard's
That's what she said. Exactly like that.
one bard's song of creation is the score to another person's nightmare. And I can tell you as a DM, yeah, this is your magic.
You got to be on
walk.
your toes if you're dealing with this.
Yeah.
You do.
So yeah, that's what I have for this
Man,
guy.
okay, well, let's get to rolling some initiative on this, because I got some questions. So we'll roll initiatives, keep it simple, we'll use the same order, and I'll throw these 3 questions at you one at a time. That was perfect, Dan. That's the second time you've impeded me tonight. I got a 10.
I got a 17.
I got an 8. What are your
Hit me with
questions?
your
Terry?
questions.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Kyle. Kyle's staring back at
You
me.
just got lost.
You know what
by your
happened in that
trancing
3
smile.
seconds? I was thinking, he's staring at me like I'm stupid, but I know I'm correct, and I wasn't. Okay, so
Well, you are correct.
Thank you. What stats, race, background clearly synergizes well with this build?
I mean, honestly, I think you could fit anyone into there. I mean, the book mentions dragonborns, gnomes, dwarves, but I also think you could use Gensai, fairies, and probably I'd use the Outlander or Sailor background.
Right.
Yep, cool.
Sailor. Oh.
Sailor
okay.
works like you are the bosun on the ship, and you actually
Yeah.
have to fix shit.
I like
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah. I
All
thought,
right,
you
guys,
said,
we
Spend
have
a lot of time out in the middle of nowhere just communing with
I thought you
Earth
said
kind of thing.
genocide for a second
Yeah.
as well. That bothered me.
Okay, we have 2 hours of using this mask. Use it well.
Yeah.
I was leaning into acolyte background. I thought the whole
Really?
idea of creation here, I thought there's something we could draw from this, right? I
Yeah.
could make that work. And
Kind of make this guy the religious bard.
I like religious characters. I really do.
Yeah,
I
so do I.
like leaning into that. And I think I could do something with an acolyte background with this.
For me, what I really was leaning towards, funny enough, was a Simic hybrid. Just the like pure chaos of creation. I was also thinking Genasi because of the chaos aspect of them. Because this is a guy who doesn't care about the modern order of things. He knows what song all of reality is built on and has the power to tap into it. So why would he follow your set of laws? Okay.
Interesting.
So with this guy, I go, I mean, Guild Artisan is a given, but for backgrounds, but I honestly, I like Outlander. I like Far Traveler,
Yeah.
or even Folk Hero. The guy that just always has what he needs in that given situation.
Folk hero, like as a gnome or something, maybe?
Yeah, honestly, Rock Gnome is just easy with this.
Yeah.
Right? The little tinkerer is just easy with this. So there's so much possibility with this class. It's hard to choose one. I like Dragonborn. I kind of like the idea of like a Goliath or some weird, not weird, one of the more tribal races like half-orcs as well.
Right.
Because when you're out there surviving in the land, having what you need on hand at any given time is such a boon.
Yeah.
Right? And having a guy that could pull from that in kind of a very tribal, almost witch doctor
It's
kind
like
of feel.
it's like an ancient magic that perhaps the more civilized races just can't tap into.
Yeah.
All right.
Next question then, same order. In your opinion, what are the strengths of the class when it comes to role-playing this subclass?
It's very versatile, right? Like it has a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I think because we've moved away from like just the classic minstrel with bards, you can have shamans of different types. So I mean, even like sticking with what I said about acolytes there, to have some sort of religious personality, that still fits with the whole shaman thing. You can lean into the skills of this subclass, but still being true to like the bard class when it comes to roleplay. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. You probably haven't. There's a British show called Phoenix Nights. Okay, it's a British comedy. It's very famous in the UK, but it's just about this like type of social club thing. Anyway, I won't go into too many details, where they get performers and stuff. And one of the acts that comes on is a guy named Clinton Baptiste, and he's like a psychic, but he's like a fake psychic. But that type of character would be perfect for this, where it's a bard, but it's a showman based on something else, right?
This very much is your like run-of-the-mill street magician.
Yeah.
That's what
Oh,
this
yeah.
guy is, right?
Like
Okay, yeah.
I want to say Dave Bautista, but it's not. No, it's not. David Blaine
David Blaine, yeah.
just stares at you as he's doing this in front of you. Just keeps staring at you with that stare. Sounds like he's putting his own face to sleep.
I was thinking more like, hey kids, you want to see a living puppet? And then you
Have a
just
little marionette,
animate it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, so this is also your serial killer then.
Yeah. Oh, did you hear that? Yeah. Are there any potential oversights or mechanical imbalances, Kyle? First.
I don't think so. I don't see any, at least.
Good answer. I don't think so. There's challenges, right? Like when you're affecting movement and you're giving the DM a lot of things to think about. Even the other players at the table now have to try and clue into what you're trying to do with this character. That they may not have seen these abilities before. But so it's not a mechanical imbalance, but it's certainly a mechanical challenge.
Do you mean like in character, or like just another player like may not get what you're trying to do with it?
Oh, I mean,
As a DM, it would be hard to handle a
I'm saying
college
both
creation
sides.
bard.
I'm saying both sides. As a DM, this is going to be difficult to work around because these are very it's not like they're damage heavy. There a couple of them were there, but it's like mechanically heavy. You're changing movement speeds and you're working around things like that, things that you may not expect from player characters traditionally. But also when you're in a team, you kind of expect what the rogue is going to do, what the bard's going to do, whatever. When you have something like this where it's very unique abilities that you might not have seen before, it's difficult to kind of try, what are they doing on their turn? Where do they want me to be based on this action? So it can be hard to work around.
In terms of weaknesses, I mean, you're basing some damage off of the bardic inspiration, which does scale up to D12, so it's not exactly a small amount of damage, but that's at level 15. That's a small amount of damage, right? I think the biggest oversight in this is the fact that you are not limited by gold value for that item at 14th level. You can create a
Trebuchet.
Well, you could create a 20-foot by 20-foot block of solid gold, sell it to a merchant with, I don't know, gift of gab or enhanced value. So now you're selling it at double price.
Yeah.
Or distort value is the spell.
Does a giant ice cube count as an item? Is
Why
ice
not?
an item, but water is not?
Why not? The limitation of this class is the imagination of your player.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, you have that big ass chunk of fucking gold. You sell it to a merchant in 4 hours at this point because your proficiency at level 14 is 4 or 5. It's around there.
Yeah.
It disappears.
Well, doesn't it say that it has kind of like an ethereal quality?
It does.
To
It hums. It glows.
Yeah.
It
Well,
has.
you could use that to
If
add
I
to
saw
the
that, I
value.
would be
you
like,
could use that to add to the value, though, right?
Ooh, fancy. Yeah.
so like
I mean-
that thing is haunted for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. The thing's
The
haunted.
guy who runs the general store is like, how do you expect me to pay for this?
Yeah.
Where is this infinite gold that you think
Yeah.
those merchants have all the time?
So you want me to give you gold for gold?
Yeah.
Is that what you're?
But this is also like a non-magical item of your creation. It can be as detailed or as bland as you want, right? You have that quest to go grab that humming magic sword of ancient renown. Well, walk into the alley, pop it into your hand, wait a minute, walk back in. Got it, here you go.
Yeah.
What's the next quest? Gotta go. Gotta be out of town in about 3 hours and 56 minutes.
Can't hang around.
Yeah, right. Like it's just one of those things where if you're not prepared for this class as a DM, it's going to take you by surprise.
Yeah.
So if you have one of these at your table, I'm not saying limit them. I'm saying be open, yes, and with these guys a lot, but be prepared for shenanigans. It's just going to happen as part of the class.
You got to think judo with these people, okay? It's that you push, I pull. All right, if that's the way you want to go, but let's see it through. But let's see it through in its entirety. Because you're laughing because it's going to disappear in 4 hours. But me, the DM, I'm also laughing because it's going to disappear in 4 hours. And there will be repercussions of this. And I don't need to think of those right now. Let's get through the session and let's see what bounty hunter or whatever is following you tomorrow, or next week.
Yeah.
Second subclass.
That's you.
That's me. Right. So we are talking about College of the Spirits, aka Spooky Bards.
Ooh, spooky
Oh,
bards.
all right, I'm in.
We're about to get spoopy up in here.
So, the College of the Spirits, they seek to gather tales, whether legends, histories, or fictions, and through occult means, bring those stories to life, conjuring their characters through magical means. According to the little blurb at the end, one of the things that you should think about when choosing College of the Spirits is that what is the theme behind the stories you collect? What binds them together and really appeals to your character?
This guy sounds like the Aaron Mahnke of the Bards. Like the guy who... Aaron Mahnke is a podcaster. Okay, I realize wrong crowd talking to right now, but he's a podcaster who has influenced my work, my passion to do this a lot. He runs a podcast called Lore, where he just goes through and breaks down folklore, legends.
Really?
And,
I would like that.
Okay.
Oh, it is fucking phenomenal. It's one of my favorite
What's his
podcasts.
name? Yeah.
Aaron Mahnke
And the podcast
is called Lore.
Lore. Oh, that's
Lore.
right, yeah.
He actually got a deal with Amazon TV, and his podcast is now like an animated show on Amazon Prime.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like he's done really well for himself. I've just started listening to, he's got a new one called Bridgewater, which is like Nathan Fillion,
Wait, I heard
Misha
that.
Collins, and a bunch of guys like telling a scary story that's heavily influenced by folklore. I'm a massive folklore nerd, so like this is just checking all of my boxes. Oh, and it's a podcast?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, there's
Yeah.
no video for it? Yes. Right? Like I absolutely love Aaron Mankey. He is a spoopy bard. Like that's what this guy is. Like he's just spooky as hell.
Yeah, that is exactly what it is. If you add magic to that and then you bring it to life. So for
It's called podcast magic, Kyle.
podcast magic, right?
Right. Shut up, Dan. I'm going through a thing. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So for features, at 3rd level, they get a number of these. The first being Guiding Whispers. By reaching out to the spirits for guidance, you gain the guidance cantrip with a range of 60 feet, and it does not count towards your cantrip's known. You also get Spiritual Focus, where you can choose as your spellcasting focus either a candle, a skull, a crystal ball, a spirit board, or a Taroka deck, which is
Tarot cards.
Tarot cards, yeah.
D&D tarot cards.
And at 6th level, through this, this gets upgraded to whenever you deal damage or heal with your spellcasting focus, you can roll a d6 and add that to either your damage or your healing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What type of damage is it?
Any kind of damage.
Oh.
As long as you're doing it through your spellcasting focus.
And real quick, you said that the guidance has a range of 60 feet.
Correct.
Normal guidance is range of touch, y'all.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's kind of like a free bardic inspiration.
Yeah, it's an additional bardic inspiration.
Yeah.
That's okay. I am loving
Dan's
the
in.
hell out of this.
Just wait.
Dan's sold.
It gets better.
I hope so.
But wait, there's more.
And then the final 3rd level ability is Tales from Beyond.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Using your spellcasting focus and one of your bardic inspirations, you reach out to the spirit realm for a spooky tale of power to aid you in your quest. Rolling your bardic die determines which tale you get. You can only hold one tale in your mind at a time, and it stays with you either until you roll again on this table or you finish a short or long rest. The tale can only be used once per roll on the table, and to unleash it, you must, as an action, target one creature, yourself included, and within 30 feet of you. If there is a DC, it equals your spell save DC. So yeah, there's 12 different ones. Obviously, as your bardic inspiration die goes up, you'll unlock more. I'll just take a couple at random. Number 1 is Tale of the Clever Animal for the next 10 minutes. Whenever the target makes an intelligence, a wisdom, or a charisma check, the target can roll an extra die immediately after rolling the d20 and add the extra die's number to the check. The extra die is the same type as your bardic inspiration die. There's also number 8, Tale of the Phantom. The target becomes invisible until the end of the next turn.
Fuck off.
Yeah. Or until it hits a creature. If the target hits a creature with an attack during this invisibility, the creature it hits takes necrotic damage equal to a roll of your bardic inspiration die and is frightened until the end of your next turn.
No save?
No, yeah, no save.
What?
Oh.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
You get this at 6th level?
Yeah, when you hit 1d8 right away?
No. 1d8s, you get a 5.
Yeah, 5 then.
Dan
You
knows
can hit us.
everything. doesn't
Yeah.
he? Dan knows everything.
And then another one I really like is the last one, Tale of the Mindbender. You evoke an incomprehensible fable from an otherworldly being. The target must succeed on an intelligence saving throw or take psychic damage equal to 3 rolls of your bardic inspiration
No.
die and be stunned until the end of its next turn. Which is ridiculous. When you hit 1d12...
This is like you just reciting Vogon poetry from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yeah. D12s, I believe, are level... Oh, fuck. That I don't know off the top of my head.
Come on, Dan, guess.
Dan.
Guess for the
Guess?
people at home.
Okay, I've got it here.
Don't guess, but recall.
Recall, you get it at 15th level.
Dan looked, but that's
Yeah, I
fine.
looked. I was going to guess 15.
Nobody knew until I told them, so that's
Yeah.
fine.
All right. Now, at 6th level, you get Spirit Sessions, whereby conducting an hour-long ritual, seance.
Kyle,
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
It's a
Kyle's
seance.
turned his hat around. Now looks like how Eminem looks now. No, we don't like that?
I like how he's
I
matched
honestly
his
don't-
hat to
I know,
his
that's
shirt.
that's the point. Like a crimson
You know what's
color.
even worse? Oh no, they're not the same logos.
Just completely fucking railed us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on,
at
I was
sixth
on a
level-
roll.
At 6th level.
That was on a roll. Now it's 6th level. You get spirit sessions, whereby conducting an hour-long ritual.
It's a seance.
It's
Yeah,
a seance.
yeah.
To commune with the dead with a number of willing creatures up to your proficiency bonus. You learn one spell of your choice from any class, so long as it's a divination or a necromancy spell of a level you can cast, and its level is equal to or less than the number of creatures partaking in the ritual seance. The spell does not count towards the number of spells you know, and you know it until you start a long rest, at which point you can also use that ability again. So you can just learn a new divination or necromancy spell every time you take a long rest.
That's
I mean, it's powerful.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
It's exciting. I just every single day you got that one creepy dude in the group is like, all right guys, gather around. No, we're gonna do lunch after this. So everybody gather around.
We're gonna do lunch after this.
I have a feeling we'll need scry. So everybody, no, Barbarian, you could go and run in the woods for a second. We just need the 4 of us here. We'll just hold hands and murmur for a minute, and I'll be able to scry.
Depends on the character, doesn't it? Because here's the thing, right? It's like 30-year-old goth girls, still hot. 30-year-old goth dudes, it's like, come on, man. It's like let it go, dude. It doesn't work for both sexes, unfortunately.
I'm also thinking of like a slumber party. You know, if you took the spirit board, which is basically just a Ouija board, right?
Yeah.
So you have everybody sitting around candlelight like this. Spirits, come talk to us. Greetings. And there's actually a cutout spirit board in the back of
Van
Van
Richten's
Richten's guide to Ravenloft.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious. Finally, at 14th level, you get Mystical Connection, which means when you roll on the Tales from Beyond.
Yeah, you have to say it like that.
You're really selling this now.
Yeah.
Even as your character, if you out there listening to this podcast are playing one of these bards, if you do not say Tales from Beyond every single time you bardic inspire, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So now you get to roll 2 bardic inspiration die and choose which one you want to use. And if you roll the same number on both dies, you can pick whatever one you want.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. It is great.
It's kind of a little wild magic-y, which I like.
Yeah.
It is a way better wild magic.
Oh, yeah. None of your wild magic shit does this level of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of it has this
I know. I
level
hope
of
you don't
heat.
have a wild magic sorcerer in the party at that time because
Yeah,
they're
bum,
gonna.
bum, bum, bum. Wow.
They would have been so excited as
Yeah.
well.
Hey guys, I just turned that thing into a potted plant. Feel my power from my tales from beyond. So is that it?
That is pretty much it. And then I was just going to bring in an insight about what makes this unique flavor. It's like a more fun wild magic sorcerer.
It is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's roll. Here are your 3 questions coming up. I rolled a 10. Kyle
got a
rolled
16.
15, Dan rolled a 16.
15.
And so I'll direct
Just
this
be me.
question to Dan first. What stats, race, background clearly synergizes well with this build?
Anything long-lived that would have some sort of key into the stories and like experience there. I also want something slightly nature-based. So I like the idea of Firbolg because they live a long life.
Yeah,
they're
okay.
kind of country. Like whatever this guy is, I'm making him either kind of Bostonian or West Virginian, right? He's either Appalachian or he's from like in around the Gotham area because he's going to like this guy fits in great with a great old one warlock, y'all. Like
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
I've got like if you
see
want to
it.
play a spooky campaign, yes, just yes, love it. So anything long lived, so an elf, a Firbolg fits great with it. I very rarely pitch them, but just roll human with this, man. Right?
Yeah.
Like you could do so much with a human with this guy.
Is that because it doesn't matter how much food, shelter, loved ones, whatever we surround humans with, we still find an excuse to be sad all the time?
Yes.
You have everything you need. You're in the top 1.5% of the globe. I'm sad.
Yes.
Who's next? You, Kyle.
That's for me. For race, I'd have to say anything that has a strong storytelling history, but not a lot of writing. I imagine like a strong oral tradition from where these guys come from, and then that's what they're doing.
So like a half orc or
Yeah, half orc or
right.
lizard folk.
Yo, yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna go background again, and I'm gonna go acolyte again, because I'm getting pure like New Orleans, like voodoo type,
yes.
like deep kind of vibes like that. And I would lean into, I would manipulate the acolyte background to make that work so well. I'm going like deep, like True Blood type stuff here.
This guy's a cryptozoologist. Like that's what this guy
Yeah.
is. He's like, have you guys ever heard of a chupacabra?
Yeah.
A chupa thingy?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that? Come on. Right? Like, oh. He's the guy like me at parties who sits there and talks about Native American skin changer lore. Like,
Dan really knows how to liven up.
Yeah.
Liven up a Canadian party. We fucking love talking about that stuff here. Please keep bringing that up.
I'm fun at parties.
Oh, God.
Dan,
I get invited to a bunch of them. Like I've been to like 4.
Yeah.
Oh God. Dan, in your opinion, what are the strengths of the class when it comes to role-playing this subclass?
It comes with a lot of party building activities, like with that seance.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not hand waving that as a DM. And you have to sit there and be like, okay, guys. Like, I'm not saying like everyone around the table grab hands. COVID, be careful. But like,
Hey, I did that. Okay, it didn't go well.
no, like, I mean, I grew up in a Christian household. The amount of every dinner time,
You're over it.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
over it. You're done.
But like the getting the party together and be like, all right, guys, we have to ask specifically a spirit that would give us access to this specific spell. All right, so it's gonna go for it, right? Also with these tales, you have 12 tales that you just have a title of. Flesh them out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Give your player the room to be like, okay, you want to the Fable of the Two Beasts or whatever that one was. Okay, well, tell me a spooky story about 2 animals. Go, right? And have that written out. There's just so much potential for this.
Yeah.
Someone like me who's a big lore nerd, I am chopping at the bit for this.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just a lot of strengths behind it. I mean, it's so much fun in terms of role play. I agree with you. Like, you should really come up with where your stories are coming from. I think it's a really important part of your background. It gives you a lot of chance to flesh out a character. Like, if you really want to go in depth with it and really do a lot of research, this is the one to be.
Yeah, and I think as far as it comes to class, what are the strengths of the class? The Bard as a class is your excuse to exaggerate things.
Yeah.
You know, it's your excuse to, it's almost for people to kind of question the legitimacy of something that you're doing. If you have a warlock that's exaggerated, people are like, okay, well that makes sense. They fucking sold their soul, and every now and again this dude shows up and tells them what to do. But with the Bard, it's like, is it real? Is it not real? What's going on here? Like we're all gathered around this candle now, and you're chanting something, and nothing's really happening, and then something kind of did happen, I guess, you know. And so it really gives you an excuse to lean into the show, right? Mm-hmm. The showmanship, the exaggerating, and I would even put suggestions through that maybe it's not real. That people doubt it. Like, are you just getting lucky? Like, was that breeze gonna happen anyway?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, it's kind of like you know, when you're sitting around a campfire and someone tells a scary story, and then you start hearing the noises that were mentioned in the story.
I was gonna say, if you're gonna play one of these guys and you don't find a way to add thaumaturgy as a cantrip, again, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Like adding a little gust of wind or a little whisper in the wind or a little noise or making the candles in the room go out suddenly. Like, thaumaturgy leans heavily into this, so you need it.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Get thaumaturgy.
Yeah. Or even just find some ways for the smaller parts of the show to be proven as fake, like whether you've got a familiar that's like wafting this something or something, but the larger parts of it are real, you know. So the important stuff is actually happening, but the little details that make it kind of spooky, maybe the party finds out they're kind of fake. I think that would be fun to work with. Okay, Dan, last question I'm going to throw at you here.
Sure.
Mechanical imbalances or oversights.
Mechanical imbalances or
Are there
oversights. I mean, eventually the seance is going to get old. And
you got to find a way to speed that up.
You got to find a way to speed it up, and you got to find a way to keep it interesting and alive as a DM. That's going to create some extra legwork. I don't know, man. I love the stories. I love what they offer, but they add so much to that bardic inspiration, and it doesn't go away with the bardic inspiration. Your player uses it, and now for the next 10 minutes they have this buff. Mm-hmm. Remember that bardic inspiration is
well, they
bonus
don't
action.
all work like that.
They don't all work like that, but like some of them do, right? If they're the temporary hit points. I'm thinking like that one that gives you a bonus, gets you the bardic inspiration bonus on, or rather the same dice as your bardic inspiration bonus on int, wisdom, or charisma saves for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, right? That is so powerful. So I think there are some balance issues, but it is so infused with role play and narrative that I think the balance issues are easy to get around. Okay. I don't think they're crippling. We've seen crippling subclasses before. This isn't one of them.
Yeah.
I would like to see one or two or maybe even three of these stories work against you, because I think they are so powerful.
Yes.
And you can use them so many times that you're screwed if you fight this guy.
Yeah, I think an oversight is that it kind of suggests that those tales, for example, might be short-lived. But I think you can wind that to avoid this becoming like a one-trick pony, or like the rituals getting old or something. I think you can make these tales longer lived. There can be after effects. There can be, whether it's something kind of hangs around, or like, there's ways that you can make it last longer, but add to the narrative, or at least make something more challenging later on as a result of this. So I don't think I guess it's an oversight in that they're suggesting it's short-lived just for that moment, but I think you can correct that by including these things in the campaign for the long run.
Yeah, if you guys like the show, or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach us at r/it'samimic on Reddit, and you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, we've come to that part of the show where we're going to present our unique builds to the audience. Cool. As is tradition, let's roll. Let's go.
18, man,
3.
I'm rolling. I'm on fire tonight.
We've been in the same order for the past 3 rolls, I think.
No, we haven't. I was last time.
No, I was last.
I was second from last time. It's not the same order. I'm just rolling fucking insane, and I'm happy about it.
Okay, so who's first? Dan?
Okay, Terry.
Yeah. Did I not? I didn't acknowledge you after the first, Terry.
No, I you didn't acknowledge me after the first, Terry. You rarely do acknowledge me. It hurts me. The thing I was thinking about when I thought of a College of Creation bard was not a artisan, was not a grand creator or craftsman. No, I was thinking of an annoying piece of shit prankster, and that's when I thought, Terry, a copper dragon. I thought of you, Terry. No.
I thought you were going to say gnome for a second.
I was so close to just saying gnome. I was like,
gnome,
who's DMing this episode? Terry? I have College of Creation bards? Oh, a rock gnome. No.
Yeah.
A copper dragonborn College of Creation bard.
Sure.
Reason. Copper dragons are the pranksters. They're there to just fuck with people. Copper dragonborn would be echoes of that. Add on top of the fact that as of the recording of this episode, Fizzbands has not come out. However, we do know that Dragonborn are changing for the better. So,
who said that?
Some of the images I've seen that Wizards is releasing of Fizzbands, like we haven't had it released yet, so it's all conjecture at this point. But Copper Dragonborn are, by their base nature, jovial, friendly. They are not really harmful pranksters. Right? Whereas a copper dragon would just be like, haha, I burned your house down, get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Yeah.
It's funny, guys. Don't you just don't get the joke. You know what? I'll go ask the blue dragon. He'll be on the ground laughing.
It's just a prank, bro.
It's just a prank, bro. You hit me in the face with a stroller.
You guys can live in my cave until you get yourselves on your feet.
Yeah, God, it's just a house. Build another farm. Anyway, so a copper dragonborn is going to have this aspect of pulling from the base creative energies that Bahamut has laid the weave and the entire world together with, and he's going to pull them out to provide like a whoopee cushion or a bucket of water above a door.
Just completely waste the gift.
Just completely waste the gifts he's got with this, right? He's got a spigot on the flow of the creative energies, like base creation energies, world shaping powers, and he uses it to pull a rubber chicken out of a hat. Like this guy, it just would be so much fun. Definitely not for a serious campaign, obviously, but
He animates a rope to trip people in the road.
Yeah, right. Or generates a 10-foot pole with a hook at the end to pull someone off a stage. Like that's what this guy, or to pull himself off a stage when a joke hits flat. Like that. That's what this guy is. I love him so much. As for background for this guy, he's an entertainer. Clearly, he's an entertainer, right? So that's where I went with this. You're not going to be martially strong with this. You're still just a bard. So don't try to play like the gladiator level guy who just like could create a weapon whenever he needs one. You're not going to have that success here, okay? Unless you have racial proficiency bonuses outside or you multi-class, it's not going to work. If you're going straight College of Creation bard, Copper Dragonborn. Hey, and when all fails, you can always just breathe acid on their face.
Sure. Love it.
It works for me in real life. So I'm going to go with my original idea of a lizard folk College of the Spirits bard with a far traveler background.
Cool.
I like the idea that this guy was slated to be the storyteller for his tribe, right? And he was raised, this was going to be his profession. And then all of a sudden, tribe gets wiped out. And then, so now what he's doing is...
It's a prank. Do you get it?
Yeah.
All your friends and family are dead. Ta-da!
It was you! So now he carries their stories as his inspiration. Basically channeling their spirits to protect him and spreading their stories so that his kin never die.
This guy works great with an Ancestral Guardians Barbarian.
Okay.
The two of you are the last two of your tribe.
Oh, yeah.
And you're both pulling on your ancestors, the spirits of your former friends and family who have all died tragically to aid you in combat.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, so good.
Yeah. Then, though your kin may be gone, they will never be forgotten. And yes, I would have a Raven familiar.
Of course you would.
Lean right into it.
Oh, yeah.
Right into it. What was the name of your college again? I'm blanking.
Spirits.
Yeah, that's what I'd lean into as well. But my aim is to make a character that's so fucking tragic that people feel terrible because they just laugh at some of the stuff. You see, like I want someone who, not like depressing, like goth chicky, like I talk about.
You want tragic, not edgelord.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh no, like I'm not talking about sitting at the side with a hood up or anything like that. Just maybe somebody who just pretty much talks like this a lot of the time. And my wife actually left me, and like the person that nobody wants to be left alone with ever. But the story, I can't get it. But the story is just so fucking tragic, and then things just keep adding on, and it's just like, please don't leave me alone with him.
But
You want to
at
be
least-
a Debbie Downer.
So
Yeah,
what that type of character does is for the characters it's awful, but for the players it's hilarious because who's gonna get left alone with this guy who's just fucking awful? And like the tales that would come would be his life experiences, would be things that have actually happened to him, and tragedy just follows him everywhere.
If you can find a way to take the anti-lucky feat, give it to this guy. Right?
100%.
Yeah. But you're not playing this guy as a halfling. It's just not happening.
But the trick with this type of character is not to... It's like, don't tell people that it's tragic. Just be tragic in what you do and let them realize that you're a fucking just lost cause. Just an absolute lost cause. Nobody wants to be left alone with you. And it's almost like a test of character to the players as to like who's going to laugh first. And then the idea that they're laughing at something that you say is just awful.
And your player, like your character would understand if people are like laughing at his misfortunes. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. I don't even think I would play it like that.
No?
I think that they would just, that's just the way life is.
Yeah.
You know, and they would just, but it would just be fucking hilarious to be around. I would just do
like Marvin the Paranoid Android from Hitchhiker's Guide to
Yes,
the Galaxy.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure that I would even have them depressed. I think they would just, people would just recognize that this guy is just fucking truly or just tragic. But maybe he doesn't even realize that. You know, it just so I wouldn't tell.
Everybody leaves me eventually.
What you do with this guy is like everyone's around the party telling their stories, and like the barbarian's like, oh, I come from this great tribe, and he's like, oh yeah, I had a tribe once. It was my little family, and they all died in a tornado. It wasn't the tornado that killed them, it was the roof falling on their heads.
That kind or even like if the idea was supposed to be, say if they're supposed to be telling a scary story, the story that they intended is not the tragic bit. It's the fact that he mentioned that his wife left him for the milkman.
Yeah.
This reminds me of what happened to me right after my wife left me for the milkman, and then everyone's like, oh, that's the bit.
It's not that the tornado killed his family. It's that shortly after they all just ended up leaving him because he just was so depressed that something inconsequential
Exactly.
happened. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Anyway, in the end, she left me because of more sexual insufficiencies. Kyle. Like that, right? And everyone's just left hanging. Like, fucking, what? This guy's so tragic. That's what I do. Alrighty then.
I want to play with that.
I want to have that guy next to the prankster bard as well. All bard party.
Because what I love is because the characters would hate him, but the players would like to be to hear what's going to happen.
Dude sits down at the bar, lets a massive fart out because he got a whoopee cushion from the College of Creation bard.
Yeah.
He's like,
and I think that's the way to build a character, right? That's what I've learned over time is you got to entertain the players.
Yeah.
Don't try and entertain the other characters. Entertain the players.
Yeah.
All right. So, any final inspirations from anyone before we wrap up?
Honestly, I think you just hit the nail on the head there. When you're building one of these, both of these bards can lead into party level distraction very easily.
Yeah.
They both require a lot of additional footwork for DMs to handle. So remember, players, if you're choosing one of these two, you are one of a number of people around a table who have to all share table time equally.
Right.
Work with your DMs, work with the other players, make it so nobody at the table regrets that you have taken that class.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about the whole yes and principle.
Yeah.
And that really is true. It's like a conversation, right? It's not wait for your time to speak. It's listen, and then how can I add on to what they're doing? How can I use my character to complement what's happening with the other person right now, not trying to take the limelight away from them? And so you have with these subclasses that we discussed, very powerful subclasses to do that. You can really complement what's going on around you instead of just trying to take the limelight, because then it won't be appreciated.
Yeah.
So that's all for this week's discussion on bards for now. We've got a lot more ground to cover with lots of other classes and subclasses, so subscribe or follow and check back regularly to see what inspirations and insights we'll have for you in the future. Next week we'll be saying goodbye to 2021 with another part in our discussion on wizards.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. If you'd like to support us, we have a donate button on our website at www.itsamimic.com, as well as a store for some awesome merch. We also rely on word of mouth to get news of the podcast out there to the community, so please pass the word on to everyone you know so that we're available on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as most podcast apps. Thanks again for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.
Thank you for listening to another It's a Mimic production. Inquiries, shoutouts, requests, and mailbag questions can be sent to info@itsamimic.com.
How many bards is too many bards for one party?
7.
I got an
7.
18. You guys got to roll off.
15.
Oh,
4. Dan, you're first.
How many bards is too many bards for a party? Honestly, previous editions, I would say 1. 1 bard is too many bards. But 5th edition, man, they're one of my favorite classes. They're one of the most versatile classes in the game.
Yeah.
So, like, how many bards? How many people at the table you got?
Yeah.
Right? Because everything's so varied. So there is no limit for me. Unless there's that one asshole that just needs to fuck everything. That guy can go.
Are we still doing that? Is that still
apparently
happening out
some
there?
people are.
Somebody's doing that out there?
Yeah. I very intentionally am playing a bard right now who mimics my own social awkwardness. So he's not chasing tail
your
at all.
character mimics your own social awkwardness. Well, that's good.
Yeah, Terry, what about
Well, I suppose it's not good. We're working on that.
So you don't have performance expertise.
No, I do not have performance expertise.
Everybody has an off night, Kyle. Okay, there's lots of things that go into it. It's happened to the best of us. Okay,
All right, well, I'm just saying.
It's happened to the best of us. April 2009, I remember vividly. But anyway, how many bards is too many bards? I don't know. I think you could have a party full of bards. I think they're versatile enough.
Yeah.
The problem is there's some core abilities that then everybody just has and it's kind of boring. But I don't mind like a traveling show or something as a party. You know, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Oh yeah, right. Like a circus or something like that, a carnival.
Or they got a band and they're just going from town to town trying to get a gig, but they
Nobody
just
will
keep
book 'em.
getting adventures instead.
Yeah, but then you just have a collection of assholes sitting in a circle inspiring each other.
Yeah.
You know, like a circle of jerks.
Oh, Dan. Hey,
Oh,
when
man,
I was-
you're so good. I love you so much.
long time ago, me and my friends Barry, Rory, and I forget who else was it. We had a made-up band when I was in Germany, and we travel around. The reason reason we were the British people in Germany is we told them we were in a band. We were called the Dirty Guns, but it wasn't real. We had songs and everything. Yeah, it was great.
That's not something I would want to like proudly
Oh, we
proclaim
love
at
that
a
name
bar.
though, the Dirty Guns.
I always wanted to start a punk band called Rival to the Bible.
What do you play?
Nothing.
Nothing.
But I still wanted to start a punk band. I mean, come
Both
on.
Terry and I are bass players.
Oh, I'm a lot of years out of the game though. Now it's just hanging on the wall. In fact, it hasn't even been hanging on the wall for the past year. It's just
geez.
there. It's just there as a conversation.
Oh, buddy! In
piece.
the past 2 years, my bass has been sitting in a corner of the room in its case. Like, and my bass has a name.
What's your bass's name?
Tibble.
We don't have enough time to finish
No, we
that
don't.
conversation.
No, we don't.
We'll leave it there. Let me just take a breath here for a second because this is a heavy one tonight. Okay. But as much as I love bards and what they have to offer, I want to ask you, host 2 and host 3, before we get started. what's your...
Do that again.
That's coming out at the Christmas party.
Hey, it's Adam in the editing studio, and I am just now going through this episode, and it reminded me of a thing that Jeff and I were doing a little while ago, which was going over a number of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy inspired magical items. One of the ones that he pitched, or I think that he found and then updated into D&D Beyond, was the Scroll of Vogon Poetry. Now, for those of you who know the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Vogon poetry is notoriously bad to the point where it will render people mad or unconscious. So, to cast the spell scroll, use an action to read its content out loud. Everyone within a 30-foot radius that can hear music must make a DC 16 Wisdom saving throw. On a success, nothing happens. On a failure, you must choose between falling unconscious for 6d10 plus 10 rounds or taking 6d10 plus 10 psychic damage. The unconscious effect ends for a creature if it takes damage or someone uses an action to wake it. So that's what it says, and then we got silly about it and came up with the actual poem. To cast this spell scroll, which upon transcription is white like a whitish flower, use an effervescent action to read mightily out loud, like a famous poet such as Fringenobel. Everyone within magnificent radius, a number of inches equal to a standard year minus some until 360 is reached, which by most accounts is 30 feet, no matter the number of bulbous toes, that is capable of hearing as the mighty warhare of Perganon 23 hears, must make a saving throw most wise that a 16 is needed, and, one must assume, wanted as well. Upon glorious success, nothing happens like my father's unmoving heart when I hug him. If failure is the answer, then woe! The hearer must make a decision most unenviable, as a coyote in a trap must choose to die, or gnaw viciously until its leg is off, which honestly might kill it nonetheless. Be either unconscious like Sleeping Carrot for 6d10 plus 10 excruciating minutes of blissfully unaware and somber peace, or yet unto yourself choose the other option of 6d10 plus 10 psychic damage, such as is whence unto cranial pain merges until it blossoms as pineal crane and whatever. Think about it. Creatures both fair and not fair, that succumb to the embrace of a darkness most dark, must remain thusly henceforth until the damage is visited upon the celestial forms or their earthly ones, depending on how religious they are, I guess. Or, one should know another method. If a boisterous dude or femme sacrifices an action most selflessly, the unconscious creature may yet be roused to consciousness in an immediacy. Dictated, but not read. High Supreme Vogon Scrollifier, Grun.
Nailed it.